Hey, Katalyst community, welcome back for another tips and tricks from the Katalyst team here. We had recorded a couple of different videos talking about the concept of counteroffers recently. And certainly we wouldn't be talking about counteroffers if companies weren't dealing with this pesky problem of turnover and transition of team members. So if you're looking for more information on counteroffers, certainly go back to the videos that we had recorded earlier. But today we're going to be actually talking about how do you prepare for a turnover? And turnover comes in many different shapes, sizes, forms. You might be dealing with an employee that's informed you that they're planning to leave the organization. You may actually be also dealing with a mandate from the corporate office saying that you've got to trim your headcount. And it may be that some member of your team or several members of your team have actually been dedicated to a special project within the organization. So all of these situations, and certainly there are many more, but all of them put you in a position where you have to figure out how to manage through change and effectively manage without potentially a key member or key members of your team. So today, let's talk about what can you do as a leader of teams, a leader of members of teams. How can you prepare for your transition? And how do you make sure that you don't skip a beat while leading these teams? Okay, so we're going to talk about 4 key things that every leader should be doing to prepare themselves and their teams for transition. 1 would be to develop a succession plan. 2 would be to make sure you're cross-training your team members. 3, and one of my favorites, is to make sure you're actually putting together documentation on your policies and procedures. And lastly, make sure you're fostering a culture of communication. Open, honest communication. So let's break these 4 items down. First, developing a succession plan. So as someone that's fostering, cultivating, really focused on developing high-performance teams, that at some point you're going to be dealing with transition because your key team members are going to be tapped on the shoulder to get involved with strategic initiatives internally. They're also going to be allowed to walk through doors within the organization that help them continue to develop and grow within the business and move the business forward. So as a builder of high performance teams, you always have to be prepared for some sort of transition. And it's really important to make sure you've got a succession plan in place. Many organizations actually have a team that's known for being that feeder team. And certainly it would behoove you to make sure you've got a relationship built with that leader that has a really good idea of what types of skills individuals in their team need to have to be able to catapult into your team for continued growth and development. But you also might find that you are that feeder team. And certainly it really behooves you to make sure you're developing relationships with other leaders within your organization so that you can help your team members that are demonstrating they've got the skills, experience, and commitment to your business to move forward in their development and guide them into different teams within the organization and help them understand where they may be best suited and positioned for growth for themselves and for the business. And don't forget, those leaders are going to continue to grow and develop in their careers. And at some point, they may actually be the ones bringing you along. So always keep in mind, it's really important to have a succession plan in place. The second item, cross-training your team members. So it's really important to invest time in making sure that you've got key team members involved with training and cross-training other members of your team, such that should someone be pulled away for a special project, so should they go out on some sort of a hiatus, a leave, or heaven forbid they leave your team, you've got other folks within your organization that have been cross-trained on key activities so your team doesn't skip a beat. Also, in doing that, you're creating training opportunities and opportunity to develop your other team members. So what we advocate is that you invest specific periods of time throughout the week and perhaps set up a plan with your team on what activities they deem priority to be cross-training other team members on. And make sure that this is a program that you've established that isn't just a flash in the pan, but something that you've scheduled for your team to invest time on a weekly basis for months to train specific team members on key activities that they manage, such that you've got that coverage in the event that you've got some change to manage through. Also, on the topic of cross-training, contemplate using this as a mentorship opportunity. Allow your team members to come together to work on developing an understanding of what their team members are involved with that they don't have exposure to on a day-to-day basis. And what you may find is, as the adage goes, oftentimes the teacher becomes the student when they're training one another. Third, and often overlooked, maintain a library of key policies and procedures. Make sure you're investing time in developing documentation. Not every organization, regardless of how mature or immature they may be, has invested this time in putting together documentation to detail the activities that the department or specific team members are engaged in. And this becomes a real hot point when we're dealing with turnover, because we're looking for a way to rapidly and efficiently cross-train people, whether it be a current internal employee or a new team member that's been hired to the business, yet we don't have any documentation to refer back to. And we're hoping that with the limited time we have for the team member that's going to be departing from the organization to actually show another team member how best to do the work, that they're actually going to spend some time documenting. We really advocate that you invest time up front. Be proactive in this. Make sure that you're dedicating time weekly. And again, putting together an agenda of what priority you've placed on key activities that need to be documented. And build that into your annual plan or quarterly plan with your team members. Make sure that they know that this is a priority for you and also for the business. And lastly, fourth, make sure you foster a culture of communication. We talk about how important communication is in life, whether that be in the work we do, the relationships we cultivate inside and outside of work, families. It's really, really important. Make sure that communication is a priority for you and your team, and make sure you create an environment that allows people to express themselves and share with you what their aspirations are. The best thing you can do is put yourself in a position to help them in achieving their aspirations. And importantly, that gives you time to prepare for their transition. And it's with that time that you have the ability to go back to several of these key activities we recommend. Thinking about your succession plan, making sure you've got key team members cross-trained on very important business processes, and that you're maintaining your library of policies and procedures. If you do all these things, managing through change will be a breeze. Not that it's ever easy for anyone, but certainly these are going to be tips to success for you and your team for years to come. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and certainly we're always eager to hear back from you. If you've got other tips and tricks on how best to manage through change, please contact us directly. I'm Kevin Kay, founder and CEO of Katalyst Group. We look forward to working with you. Thanks for your time.